All right, hello everybody. Welcome to our next unit here. This next unit we're going to be talking about is different states of consciousness. So sleep and dreams, meditation, also talking about the use and effect of drugs on the brain and other parts of our body. So we'll be talking a lot about some different states of consciousness and how they impact our brain. So our first lesson here we're going to be talking about sleep and dreams part A, and then we're also going to take a second look at sleep and dreams part B later on. So our objectives and standards to identify why sleep is important, excuse me, and to recognize the different stages of sleep. Take a moment there to look over the stages, please, or standards. I apologize. And our desired result, why is sleep important for our brain and body? So think about some of the things we're going to talk about in the lesson today. Why is sleep important for our brain? How does it impact our brain? And why is it important for our body as well? Vocabulary, we have consciousness is a state of awareness of a person, including their feelings, sensations, ideas, and perceptions. REM sleep is a stage of sleep characterized by rapid eye movement, high levels of brain activity, dreaming, and deep relaxation of the muscles. And circadian rhythm is activity and inactivity of rhythm that lasts approximately 1 day. So what is sleep? Well, we know that studies have shown that sleep is vital to mental health, and people can suffer from psychological disorders if they do not get enough sleep. I know I've probably had this, and you may have had this as well, when maybe there's a night or somewhere where you didn't sleep enough, and you wake up and you feel drowsy, or you're not yourself. Maybe you're in a bad mood. I've done it too. I've woken up, not gotten enough sleep, and felt like I'm kind of in a bad mood, or you just don't feel like you slept well, so you're not thinking clearly. So those types of things. So again, that can happen. That's okay to happen once or twice. Here and there. Everybody doesn't have a good night's sleep here and there, but when you don't get enough sleep, it does start to, over time, wear on your psychological mentality. Now, we as humans typically view sleep as a period of unconsciousness with brief dreaming. In reality, sleep is an altered state of consciousness with different levels of brain activity and inactivity. So, kind of talk about consciousness here a little bit. Like we said, this is our next chapter. It's defined as a state of awareness of a person, including their feelings, sensations, ideas, and perceptions. And consciousness can range from different levels, from alertness to non-alertness. So, obviously when we're awake, we know what's going on. We're typically aware of our surroundings. To when we're asleep, we're non-alert, and we're in an altered state of consciousness. Okay, so even though we feel like we might not be conscious of what's going on around us, our brain is conscious of that, and our brain is constantly thinking and doing things. So again, an example of an altered state of consciousness is sleep. Again, the importance of sleep is the reason for sleep is that it's still unknown. We still don't really know why we sleep, but there are different ideas behind it. Many people say that it is an unresponsive to the environment, and it's typically limited physical mobility, right? I mean, some people may move around in their sleep a lot. I know my sister, when she was younger, she used to throw herself around and, wind up in awkward positions. And maybe you've woken up in, weird positions, like maybe your head's sideways, or your arms across your chest. And, I've done that too. We've all woken up in weird positions. But typically, it's a time of where we're typically still. Now, some of the ideas behind sleep are there are people that believe sleep allows humans and animals to, quote unquote, recharge our batteries. Others believe that allows the brain to recover from things such as stress and exhaustion from the day. And there are other views that include survival skills. Some people date it back to the first human beings and state that, people, would sleep because they would typically stay awake at night to protect themselves from animals and sleep during the day. So there's that viewpoint, and there's other viewpoints that sleep allows our brains to clear out useless information. And this can also be tied to dreaming, about why we dream about certain things. We say, why did I dream about that? Because your brain is trying to clear out certain information that it doesn't need anymore. Now, There are a couple of stages of sleep. We're going to talk about the early stages of sleep here first, okay? There's 3 stages, and we'll talk about the later stages. But before we get to that, typically as we get ready to go to sleep, our body temperature typically drops, our pulse begins to kind of decrease as well as we start to fall asleep. Our breathing can become slow and even, and you've probably noticed this in yourself as you go to sleep. We gradually close our eyes, and our brain waves begin to show an absence of concentrated thought as we relax. So as we get, as we go to sleep, we typically, we feel like maybe our minds kind of clearing out, right? Maybe our brain's relaxing, and we feel relaxed as we start to fall asleep. Now our bodies can twitch sometimes as we fall asleep. Our eyes may roll, and we may see brief images flash in our mind before we go to sleep. Um, I know I've fallen asleep here and there where, you feel like, you suddenly jump awake or whatever, your body may twitch, your arm twitches or something like that. But then eventually we begin to enter the stages of sleep. The first stage is stage 1, A there, letter A. I'll highlight that for you there, letter A. And this is when our pulse is slow, our muscles relax, and we typically have uneven breathing. So again, our body is starting to fall asleep. If we were to be awoken during this stage, we might say, we were just drifting, or, I know my parents, when they were, would fall asleep on the couch when we were kids, we'd say, Dad or Mom, you're snoring, and they'd say, I was just closing my eyes, and I find myself using that phrase sometimes when I fall asleep on the couch at my own place, I'll say, I was just closing my eyes, I was just, I just closed my eyes for a couple minutes. Maybe you've done that too. You'll be like, oh, I fell asleep for 5 minutes, The first stage of sleep typically lasts for about 10 minutes, and then we go into stage 2, letter B here. And this is when our eyes will typically slowly roll side to side. We don't really notice this, but our eyes are kind of, rolling back and forth with our eyes closed. And stage 2 will typically last about 30 minutes. We then enter stage 3, where there's a large amplitude of delta waves. And this is when our brain really starts to get into some heavy sleeping. Our brain can become very difficult to wake up. So, if you're asleep, this is when, it's very difficult for somebody to wake you up, because with these delta waves increasing, our brain is kind of going into that altered state of consciousness. Okay, so that's stage 3. So studying the later stages of sleep. Stage 4, next to letter D here, this is the deepest stage of sleep. This is typically when it's the hardest to wake a person, and it can be referred to as deep sleep. People may feel disoriented if they're awoken in stage 4, so this is like your mom or dad, somebody wakes you up and you kind of don't know where you are maybe, or you don't remember that you were sleeping in your bed, or you fell asleep somewhere else like on the couch or something like that. But it's very important to physical and psychological health as well. Now, REM sleep, next to letter E there, this occurs in stage 4. Now, in REM sleep, your sex hormones and your adrenal glands increase. Sometimes it feels like you're in a physical activity or an emotional event, like maybe you feel like you're racing around a track, or you're driving a car, or sometimes hopefully you don't have nightmares like this, but maybe somebody's chasing you or something like that, and you feel your heart race, your heartbeat rate racing and things like that. Your pulse rate and breathing can become irregular, and this is when dreaming typically occurs. So dreaming typically occurs in stage 4, but it occurs, in the part of stage 4 known as REM sleep. Okay. Your face can twitch, and sometimes your muscles can feel paralyzed in REM sleep. Now, it mostly lasts for about 15 minutes. That's why sometimes our dreams may feel longer or shorter, but sometimes, for the most part, REM sleep lasts for about 15 minutes, and then it returns to stage 4, but it can also go back to REM sleep again. And REM stands for rapid eye movement. And it's important for learning and memory. You might be learning why it's called you might be asking yourself why it's called rapid eye movement. That's because while you're asleep, your eyes might be twitching while they're closed, or things like that. So your eyes are kind of moving even though your eyes are closed. So the amount of sleep. So it's stated that humans typically spend approximately 1/3 of their lives asleep. and the amount of sleep required can differ from person to person, and it depends on age. Typically for newborns, they need 16 hours of sleep. Teenagers, 10 to 11 hours of sleep. Young adults, and even adults too, typically 8 hours of sleep. And then as you get older or more elderly, we typically only need 5 hours of sleep. So again, this can also differ due to different health circumstances or things like that. But these are typically the recommended amounts of sleep for people. Now, the circadian rhythm. We seem as humans to have a biological clock that regulates our sleep and awake cycle. And this is known as circadian rhythm, and it regulates our physiological responses within a 24 to 25 hour cycle. So this is about one day, okay, 24 hours in a day. So this occurs over the course of a day, okay? I'm going to put that up here, one day. Sorry about my silly handwriting there. And it includes, our heart rate, our digestion, our blood pressure, our hormones, our appetite, and our senses are all tied to this rhythm, okay? And it's not controlled by sleep or our body necessarily, but it's typically controlled by our environment. And this is why some people may experience some things as jet lag if you've flown from maybe different parts of the country. I knew when I flew to Europe as a teenager, obviously there's an 8-hour, 9-hour time difference. So when I flew to Europe, I was more tired, and then my body adjusted to it. You typically need about an hour or so a day or so, from jet lag to recover. But then when I flew back again from Europe back to the United States, I know when I came home, I was very tired again. Like I remember the first day I came home, I kind of just wanted to kind of sleep because it's, again, you're moving back in time, you're moving hours. So this is why some people may feel disoriented or tired from traveling different time zones or across the country. All right, so our closure here. Why is sleep, important for our brain and body? Think about the different stages of sleep and how they impact our brain and body. Why is it important to get certain amounts of sleep? Why is that important for different people and animals? And that'll help you answer your question. All right. Hope you have a great rest of your day or night. Please let me know of any questions or concerns, and hope to talk to you all soon. Take care, everyone. Bye-bye.